What's up, childrens? So today we are going to talk about obsessive thinking, getting stuck in loops. Something I know a lot about because it happens to me all the time. So part of my daily practice that I have done much more successfully than the meditation and prayer thing has been to look at inspirational videos every day when after I've had my coffee and stuff. I like to catch up with the news first thing in the morning. But I do watch something every day by Russell Brand. And he, if you don't subscribe to him on YouTube, you should, because I'm completely enamored with him, or at least somebody who's gone through the recovery process. It's probably really important to do that. He resonates with me much like Jim Carrey does, who I also believe has gone through some kind of recovery of his own. I can't speak to that for sure, but just by the way he presents himself, I feel like that's the case. But comedians just resonate with me so much better. It's my breakfast, kids. So I watched today about having obsessive thoughts because I too have obsessive thoughts. So let me grab my little notes. So what is that? What is obsessive thoughts? It's overthinking things. It's getting caught in the loop. With me, it's fear. I obsess on my own death. I obsess on the death of other people, and I get caught in this loop. Or I think about things that I said to somebody, and then I go back in my head and I think to myself, should I have said those things? Did I say the right thing? Did I hurt somebody's feelings? The other thing that happens sometimes, and I'm getting better at this than I used to be, but I used to really get caught up in if I text somebody and they don't respond to me immediately, or maybe they get stuck someplace and they can't, for whatever reason, somebody doesn't message me back in a timely fashion, I begin to think that I have done something to offend that person, and that's why they're not messaging me back. I've had to learn to not do that. That's your ego. Again, something that I'm trying to work on with myself is to take myself out of the situation. Of course, you're going to make mistakes, and sometimes you are going to irritate people, but right away, you shouldn't just go to that place where you think, oh my God, I've said or done something that I've offended somebody. So what he says is your consciousness is just giving you some mindless, crappy chatter to be caught up in, to give you a distraction from shit you're supposed to actually be working on. And he says that meditation really helps with trying to get your thoughts in order and be able to move beyond the thing that you're obsessing about, whatever it is, whether it's the way you spoke to somebody, some kind of obsessive loop inside of your head. Meditation will do that. And I know that when I first heard people say that you should meditate on shit like that, and if you guys are commenting, I can't see anything. I don't know what the deal is. I'm gonna put this on and see if I can see anybody on my other thing. But anyway, he says that I said that when I first heard people say you should meditate to get control of your thoughts, you're like, what the fuck, I sit down and I meditate, and what happens is I start having more obsessive thoughts, and then that leads you to think, oh, I just don't know how to meditate properly. And it's not an easy process, and it's not something that's going to happen the first time you sit down, or even in the first week that you sit down, or even in the first month that you sit down. Consistency is the key to anything that you do. So if you want something to become a practice and to become good at it, you have to do it all the time, and then it just becomes second nature to you. So we talked a little bit earlier this week about how now before I get out of bed, before I look at anything else, I set my timer in my bed on my cell phone, and I do 7 minutes right now of silent meditation. Tomorrow I'm going to move that up to 8. I'm working towards 11, because I don't know why they say 11, but that's what the gurus that I've read in the Kundalini process say you should be doing, 11 minutes a day of silent meditation. And I did throw binaural beats in there and throw my headphones in first thing, but that kind of obscured the process for me. Maybe later I can do that, but right now that's not working for me. So I lay in my bed, I do Om Namo Guru Dev Namo 3 times. I chant that, in a speaking out loud voice that I can hear, not loud, because usually the rest of my family's still asleep when I get up, because I'm up earlier than everybody else, which is new. That's all from the exercise and diet changes. I know for a fact that has changed how my body works and whatnot. Anyway, so I do that, and then after my 7 minutes is up, I pray. And I pray for whatever, I would normally pray for. I generally try to remember that I want to be in service to other people. So I don't just pray for myself. I pray for the country. I pray for our president. I pray for the world at large, their leaders. I pray for my kids. I pray for my family. I pray for me to have the wisdom that I need in my head to take on whatever might come at me during that day. And then I get up and have my coffee. I watch the news. He says that so let's talk a little bit about, because what he says is your mind is constantly chattering, right? So I try and not listen to the chatter. You're supposed to notice it, and then you send it on, and you're not supposed to, you acknowledge it, but you're not supposed to dwell on it. So you use words or phrases to help you to stay focused, or you look back in at your own breath and you observe it. You try, and it's really hard to try not to breathe differently when you're focusing on your breath during meditation. So all of those things are going to happen to you. You're going to think thoughts. You're going to be, what am I going to do after this? My day is coming. You acknowledge the thoughts, you let it go, and then you focus on your breath. And he says that one time a day is not the only time you should be doing the meditation, right? So when I have these moments of panic attacks or anxiety, I'm going to try to sit down and say, okay, why am I doing this? And then sit for a few minutes in the mudra and meditate on whatever it is that's going on in my head, so that I can try to get a grip on what it is. And what you're trying to do is transcend your nature. Just transcend your nature, and to realize that you are part of the divine consciousness. And the only way that we're going to get to that divine consciousness is by sitting in that silent meditation. And that's going to be one of the hardest tasks for me, I think, is to try and work that into my life. But the thing that yoga and exercise and changing my diet has done for me has made me see that you can do anything if you just take it one day at a time. If you don't look at the ginormous goal. When I first started on the weight loss journey, I had 60-something pounds to lose. That was really an undaunting task to think about. 65 pounds, how the fuck am I going to lose all that weight? And if you just take it as one day at a time. Today, I'm having my shake for breakfast. Today, when I get up, I'm going to meditate. Today, when I get up, I'm going to pray. After I have my breakfast, I'm going to run some errands, and then I'm going to come home and I'm going to exercise, and I'm going to do my yoga. And then if I run into a moment, I'm going to address the moment that I run into through that divine consciousness. Because let me tell you, last night, if any of you looked at my wall, I wrote about a racist that I encountered that came to my table and started spouting about a person that I had just become friends with, that was a friend with my other friend, who had sat down to hang out with us for a little bit, and called this man the N-word. And I was a little buzzed. And my old me, before meditation, before Kundalini yoga, before even just, I think, the last few days of prayer and asking the gods to be in me, to channel, let me channel them to be able to speak the words that need to be spoken, I was able to look at this woman without being really angry and just say to her, listen, I said, we don't talk that way. At this table, We don't talk that way, and we don't use that word at this table. And she was insistent because I'm pretty sure this fellow was a military guy that was my age, and he also was a linguist for the Air Force and speaks Russian and Ukrainian. And so we talked about the administration, and we might have been a little louder than we should have been because it was a loud place we were at, a lot of chatter and stuff. And he was honestly so engaging and so knowledgeable about all the things that he was talking about yesterday that I really wasn't paying attention to if anybody was listening to us or not. I think that one of my friends did say, hey, that other table, they're like looking at us. I'm like, I don't really care, you know? I mean, I think that, and this is morphing into something that I didn't even expect it to morph into today. I think that we have to meet bigotry and hatred right where it sits. They're emboldened to come up to people and say the things that that woman said at our table last night, and we think that we should just sit there and try to escalate it. And honestly, I did try to de-escalate it, but the way that I did that was looking at her and saying, we don't speak that way, and you need to go back to where you came from and sit down, because that's not flying here at us. We don't roll like that. That's our friend. And you know, and the only thing that she could come back with at the very end of it all was, oh, you were coming on to my boyfriend earlier, weren't you? And I was like, you know, dude, really? Your fucking boyfriend? No, I have a husband and I have a boyfriend. I have too much on my plate. Thanks anyway, but you can keep your man. Now go back over to your table because we're having a private conversation here. The reason why that I could handle it that way, and if you asked my friends that were there, buzzed as I was, it didn't come out of my mouth in an aggressive way. I didn't cuss at her. I just matter-of-factly told her, you need to go to where you came from and go sit down because we're not having that here. Old me would have taken her into the parking lot and beat her ass. And then that's not even an exaggeration. I would have. I had taken my fucking glasses off and made sure my rings was poking out forward, and I would have taken her into the parking lot and I would have fucking punched her right in her face. And that I'm not trying to handle that, because we also talked about recently how when you pluck the web with whatever energy you're plucking it, eventually it comes back around to you. So here's my blessings that I got from that. Okay. My Kindle died a couple of days ago, and I'm out of warranty by like 6 months. And, I went to the Kindle site, tried to trade it in for the last 2 days and couldn't do it because I can't find my Kindle on their site to do it. And so finally this morning I got a hold of another person at Amazon, and they said to me, oh, it's because yours is too new and they don't offer a trade-in for it. And I was going to have to pay $60 with this trade-in that I really don't have, you know, but I was going to have to do that. And so 2 days and 3 different people at Amazon, and today I got the Kindle for free. They're sending it to me. I believe that's a blessing because of the way I'm trying to tune in to what's happening. My friend bought my dinner last night. I didn't expect that. I asked her to come out with me. We fought about it at the table, and she was like, no, bitch, I'm buying your dinner. So I had 2 financial blessings. Plus, I need my screens redone, and I don't have the money for that either. So I went to my lawn guy a couple of days ago, and I said, hey, here's the thing. He was going to replace them for me, $35 a panel. I got 10 of them. It's $350. I don't have that money. And I said, I want them done, and I need them done before this party, and I can't start paying you until August or September. And he goes, done. Done. So when you open yourself up to the divine consciousness, Om Namon Gurudev Namon, that will open you up to being able to channel that stuff so that you can handle the people the way you need to handle them, in a spirit of love, but firmness, right? We've got to handle confrontation different than we've handled it before, because just like everything else that's toxic in our lives, when you walk into a situation where you're going to have an argument with somebody, or that it starts as an argument, you need to argue with them constructively with less emotion in your voice, realizing that that person across from you, she's wounded. That woman was wounded. Somewhere along the line, somebody taught her that hatred was okay. Someone taught her that the color of somebody's skin makes them lesser than them. She's ignorant and she's wounded and she doesn't know what she's talking about. And so I look at her sort of like I'd look at a little kid that's not even in like 3rd grade yet, just a little itty bitty kid that has no sense of what they're saying or doing. They're just reacting from their base level. When you look at people like that, when you look at anybody that you're having an issue with as a wounded person who's hurting and has no other way to feel good about themselves than to put another person down, it changes the way that you come at them. I didn't want to fight with her last night. I just wanted her to leave us alone, and I wanted her to understand that you can't get away with saying those things. So when you're confronted with that, and you think to yourself, it's never going to happen to me, right? Barbecue Becky is never going to be in my space. And last night she was. So I had an opportunity. And you know what I always thought when I saw those kinds of things where people are calling the cops on black folks for just doing normal shit? I thought I would lose my shit. And I didn't. And that's all because I channeled the divine consciousness. I totally know that that's what happened. And Val says so many things come to her mind that she wanted to say to that bitch. Of course, you know, especially in your situation, I don't know, you know, maybe if I, but you know what, that's why I even said that to her too. I said, you know, I'm not married to a white man, just so you know. You've walked up to my table, assuming that you know everything about me, and I'm married to a guy who's not white. You're opening your mouth talking about stuff that you have no business talking about. Why don't you go mind yours over there with your man? You know, and she didn't know what to say. And I think that's why at the very end she lashed out with, you want my boyfriend, right? No, honey, not at all. Val said she was wounded. That's why she's lashing. Exactly. That's why anybody lashes out. Let's just think for a second, Val, about the people we've encountered and know in our lifetime. And in the very recent past, we've had issues with somebody in our community that did some things that we didn't think they should do. When I think back on that time, I wish we had handled things differently, but we were wounded, and so was this other individual. But we didn't even really stop to take into consideration how wounded that other individual was. The loss of someone that they loved was affecting the way that they were reacting, and us feeling like we were being disrespected too. So just have to take ourselves and our egos out of stuff sometimes, and move forward with people and try to make people be diffused in a way that's not going to elevate any kind of a thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. This whole thing changed from obsessive thinking to what happened last night. But I mean, I guess I could have been obsessively thinking about that all day too, and I'm glad that I don't have to do that. So the goal today is, if you get an obsessive thought or a loopy thought that goes into your head, that you actually take a minute to sit in your silence, breathe, connect to the divine, and examine your thoughts and ask why you're going down that road, because you're going to get answers, and you're going to learn to meditate better every day if you put it into practice. So that's what your goal is today, is to put some meditation into practice and to think about your words and the impact that they have on people when they come out of your mouth, and to realize what's your business and what isn't your business, and to try to, like anything else, practice until you get it right, and understand that the more you work something, the better off you'll be, and the easier it will become to you. I know you guys can do this. I got your backs. If you need me to help you do any of it, if you need me to help you plan your exercise, if you need me to help you figure out something you can do exercise wise, if you need me to help you with your meal planning, if you need me to help you with your grocery shopping, if you need me to help you break an addiction to food, because I'm good at that. I did it. I can help you. I know I can. You just need to message me.